The FBI had been watching Al Capone for years. They had informants inside his organization. They had evidence of murder, extortion, bootlegging, and bribery. They had witnesses who had seen things that would have put most men away for life. They could not touch him. Every witness disappeared. Every charge collapsed. Every jury was either bribed or terrified into silence. Al Capone ran the most profitable criminal enterprise in American history from a suite at the Lexington Hotel in Chicago, and the most powerful law enforcement agency in the country could not put him in a room he could not leave. Then a Treasury agent named Frank Wilson started looking at his tax returns. Capone had never filed one. On October 17, 1931, Al Capone was convicted of tax evasion. He was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. He served 6.5. He died from complications of syphilis in 1947. A broken man, his empire dismantled. Frank Wilson did not fire a single shot. He did not run a single informant. He did not infiltrate the Chicago mob or tap a single phone. He read ledgers. That is what this work is. Not what you see in the movies, not foot chases and wiretaps and dramatic arrests. It is the patient, methodical reading of numbers. The understanding that every criminal empire, no matter how sophisticated, leaves a financial fingerprint. And financial fingerprints do not disappear the way witnesses do. You are an IRS criminal investigator. You follow money, and money always leads somewhere. This is your life. Chicago, 1928. Frank Wilson. The problem with Al Capone is that he does not exist on paper. No bank account in his name, no signed checks, no property registered to him, no tax returns. Not for the years when his criminal enterprise generated an estimated $60 million in annual revenue. He pays for everything in cash. He employs thousands of people who are paid in cash. He owns nothing. On paper, he is a nobody from Brooklyn with no income and no assets. Your name is Frank Wilson. You are a special agent for the intelligence unit of the Bureau of Internal Revenue. You have been assigned the Capone case. Your supervisor, Elmer Irie, has told you what he wants. He wants Capone convicted of felony tax evasion. Your colleagues consider this an impossible task. To prove tax evasion, you need to prove income. To prove income from a man who has no bank account, no checks, no records of any kind, you need to find evidence of spending that can only be explained by income that was never declared. You spend 2 years reviewing over 2 million documents. 2 million. You work 18-hour days in a room full of ledgers and receipts and financial records obtained through subpoenas and informants and legal instruments that most people in law enforcement do not know exist. You sleep on a cot in the office during weeks when the work is most intensive. You eat meals at your desk. Your wife knows not to expect you home at any particular hour. Late one night, you find 3 bound ledgers that have been missed in earlier reviews. One of them contains what appears to be a distribution schedule for proceeds from a large gambling operation. The recipients are identified only as A, R, and J. You spend weeks identifying those initials. When you do, the structure of Capone's financial network becomes visible for the first time. A web of interconnected cash flows, each one small enough to avoid scrutiny, together forming a picture of income in the millions. You find the bookkeepers. Their names are Leslie Shumway and Fred Reese. They have been hiding. You find them anyway. You convince them to testify before a grand jury. On October 17, 1931, Al Capone is convicted. Wilson had a reputation as a thorough, if not obsessive, investigator. Financial crimes will always leave a footprint, be it fraud, money laundering, or tax evasion. Thanks to double-entry bookkeeping, a financial crime will almost inevitably be captured in accounting records somewhere. You did not need a gun. You needed patience and the understanding that money cannot simply disappear. It moves, and movement leaves traces. This principle will not change for the next 100 years. New York City, 2013. Gary Alford, the FBI, the DEA, and Homeland Security have been trying to identify Dread Pirate Roberts for over a year. Dread Pirate Roberts is the pseudonym of the administrator of Silk Road, a darknet marketplace operating on the Tor network, accessible only through specialized software that anonymizes user identity. On Silk Road, you can buy heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, forged documents, and counterfeit currency, paid for in Bitcoin, shipped through the U.S. postal system in packages that look like everything except what they are. By mid-2013, Silk Road is facilitating an estimated $300,000 in heroin sales per day. Dread Pirate Roberts is, in the language of federal law enforcement, a priority 1 target. You are Gary Alford. You are a special agent for IRS Criminal Investigation, assigned to work with the DEA on the case. You are not a hacker. You are not a cybersecurity specialist. You did not come up through the technical side of law enforcement. Alford says crime is a human problem, not one of technology. We're not investigating technology. We're not investigating these tools. We're investigating people. Your first step is to put yourself inside the mind of someone who has just built an illegal marketplace on the dark web and needs people to know it exists. You think he would need to advertise it. You open Google. You use the advanced search function to filter results by date, specifically before the date Silk Road first appeared in mainstream media coverage. You are looking for the earliest mentions of the site, the promotional posts that must have appeared somewhere before anyone else knew to look. He found a few blog sites where a user named ALFORD was boasting about a new site that sold different strains of mushrooms. You read every post this user has ever made. In one thread on a Bitcoin forum, ALFORD is asking for programming help for a new site. The post has been deleted, but it lives in the cached reply thread of another user's response. In that deleted post, ALFORD listed an email address. The email address is russellbricht@gmail.com. A Google search for the name turned up a young man from Texas who, just like Dread Pirate Roberts, admired the free market economist Ludwig von Mises and the libertarian politician Ron Paul. You have the name. You bring it to your supervisors. They dismiss it. You have found a potential suspect through Google searches in your off hours. The FBI and DEA have been running sophisticated technical operations for over a year, and you are an IRS agent with a name from a deleted forum post. The agents working the case tell you to drop it. You do not drop it. You escalate. You become, in the words of one colleague on the case, a pest about it. You keep surfacing new connections between Ross Ulbricht and the man who calls himself Dread Pirate Roberts. His location, his interests, his online activity patterns, his documented presence in San Francisco at times that match server location data the FBI has separately obtained. In September 2013, 3 months after you first brought the name to the team, the prosecutor and the lead FBI agents sit down with you. You walk them through everything. The room goes quiet. ALFORD discovered he was a guy from Texas who had suspicious overlapping interests with Dread Pirate Roberts, in particular, a love of certain free market and libertarian thinkers. This is him. This is him. He went running into his supervisor's office. On October 2nd, 2013, FBI agents arrest Ross Ulbricht in a public library in San Francisco. They grab him in the middle of a live Silk Road session, laptop open, logged in as Dread Pirate Roberts, the session active before he can close it. The evidence is unimpeachable. Ulbricht is convicted in 2015. Life in prison. He also forfeits nearly $184 million in proceeds from his drug trafficking and money laundering operations. After the conviction, ALFORD's supervisors present him with a plaque. On it, they have engraved a quote from Sherlock Holmes. "The world is full of obvious things which nobody by chance ever observes." ALFORD was not high-tech. He was not a hacker. He was a tax investigator who looked where no one else was looking. Frank Wilson would have understood. Washington, D.C., 2022. The Bitcoin Billions. The case begins with a hack that happened 6 years ago. In 2016, an unknown actor breached the Bitfinex cryptocurrency exchange and transferred approximately 119,754 Bitcoin out of customer wallets to addresses under their control. At the time of the hack, the stolen Bitcoin was worth approximately $71 million. By 2022, those same coins are worth approximately $4.5 billion. IRS Criminal Investigations Cybercrimes Unit has been following this money for years. The specific challenge with cryptocurrency is that the blockchain, the public ledger that records every Bitcoin transaction, is simultaneously completely transparent and completely anonymous. Every transaction is visible. Every wallet address is visible. But the connection between a wallet address and a human being requires a different kind of work. Finding these funds required the efforts of several CI agents and contractors, including the use of third-party analytic tools to trace assets to individuals who had hacked Silk Road to pocket illicit gains. What you are doing is following a chain of transactions across wallets, exchanges, shell companies, and jurisdictions. The stolen Bitcoin did not simply sit still. It moved. Through conversion services, through multiple wallets, through transactions deliberately designed to obscure the trail. Peel chains, layering, techniques borrowed from traditional money laundering and adapted to the specific architecture of cryptocurrency. You follow each transaction, every wallet address, every conversion. Every moment, the money surfaced in a way that connected it to a real-world identity. The trail leads to a couple in Manhattan, Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan. He, a tech entrepreneur. She, a rapper who performs under the name Razla Khan and has posted videos of herself dancing on the streets of New York. They have hidden the Bitcoin across thousands of wallets. They have used fake identities on exchanges. They have converted portions into gold and physical cash. They have tried to make what was stolen disappear into the ordinary financial world. IRS Criminal Investigations sits at the intersection of financial expertise and enforcement. They don't just chase headlines, they follow money, unwind years of deliberate obfuscation, and dismantle criminal networks at the infrastructure level. On February 8, 2022, federal agents arrest both Lichtenstein and Morgan at their Manhattan apartment. The seizure, approximately 94,000 Bitcoin, worth approximately $3.6 billion at the time of recovery, one of the largest financial seizures in the history of the United States government. Lichtenstein pleads guilty. Morgan pleads guilty. The Bitcoin returns to the victims 6 years after it was taken. You did not need a gun. You needed the understanding that digital money moves the same way cash moves, through layers, through intermediaries, through conversions designed to obscure origin. And the trail, if you follow it long enough, always leads somewhere. What this work is, you are not what Hollywood made you. You do not kick down doors. You are not in car chases. Your confrontations happen in courtrooms, not on streets. And the weapon you carry into those rooms is not a firearm. It is a financial model, a transaction record. A pattern of movement that tells a story the defendant cannot explain away. The criminals you pursue are often the most sophisticated operators in their world. Al Capone ran $60 million a year through a cash-only network designed to leave no trace. Ross Ulbricht built an anonymous marketplace on the dark web and believed technology had made him invisible. Ilya Lichtenstein moved $4.5 billion in stolen cryptocurrency through 1,000 wallets across 6 years of deliberate concealment. None of them understood the fundamental problem. Money has to move. That is its purpose, to facilitate transactions, to enable exchange, to translate value into goods and services in the real world. And every time it moves, it leaves a trace. Microscopic sometimes, buried under layers of deliberate obfuscation. But there, Frank Wilson found 3 ledgers in a stack of 2 million documents. Gary Alford found a deleted forum post in an archived thread. A cybercrimes unit found a wallet address in a blockchain 6 years after the theft. The principle is 100 years old and it has never changed. Follow the money. The money always leads somewhere. IRS Criminal Investigation employs approximately 2,000 special agents. They are the only federal law enforcement agency in the United States that requires its agents to have a background in accounting or finance before they can carry a badge. For decades, IRS criminal investigators have built an impressive track record in defeating organized crime, sometimes serving as a last resort for bringing racketeers to justice. Al Capone, Silk Road, Bitfinex, FIFA corruption, cartel money laundering networks, cryptocurrency fraud schemes, the darkest corners of the financial system, where money moves in ways designed never to be found. They find it anyway. There are financial crimes being committed right now that will not be solved for 5 years, 10 years, transactions moving through systems that do not yet exist, in currencies that have not yet been invented, through methods no one has thought of yet. Somewhere, an IRS criminal investigator is opening a file. They are not high-tech. They are not glamorous. They are patient, methodical, and they understand one thing that most people never do. The world is full of obvious things which nobody by chance ever observes. Subscribe to our channel. New video every week. There are 1,000 more worlds like this one. You haven't been inside any of them yet.